Morning, Raptor Freak. Alexiot's here. It's Friday, and that means I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. Whoa! Last night, the Golden State Warriors won their fourth championship in the last 6 years, beating the Boston Celtics in their home arena. And wow, what a fun game to watch last night. I actually watched this whole game last night, and boy, did they suck the air out of that building early. And the Boston fans had to sit there and take it for pretty much the whole game. And what a fantastic game. I am so proud of you, Andrew Wiggins, Maple Jordan, City of Vaughn, City of Thornhill, Mr. Andrew Wiggins. You showed up big time in that finals game, that last game last night, and you were splashing a little splash with the Splash Brothers and with the Mr. Poole. That Mr. Poole and the Splash Brothers and Mr. Wiggins were all about splashing the splash all over the Boston Celtics last night. And it was beautiful. It was so beautiful to watch. I actually really enjoyed rooting for the Warriors last night against the Celtics. That seeing Steph Curry be such a master with his three-point shot, that one play where he ran out of bounds and came around the guy and then they got him the ball and he hit it, or that three-pointer right there, oh my gosh, that was an amazing play. That is going to be a signature play from this finals game last night. The one where he goes around the Celtics player and comes around and hits that three. And then, boy, there was a point in the middle of the game where the Warriors were feeling real good. They were hitting their shot real nice. And the Celtics were really struggling. And Curry, he just decided coming across the court, he's like, you know what, I feel real good. Let's do a heat check. And he threw one from way out, and it went in. And I was like, damn, they're going to mess them up tonight. Oh, yeah, they're going to mess them up tonight. It was beautiful. It was such a beautiful thing to see. And, there was a lot of interesting little things in the game also. Tatum did not shoot well. He was 6 for 18. And then Jaylen Brown was the man for them. He was 34 points. The Celtics only got 4 points off their bench. 5 points off their bench last night. That is depressing. Like, there was no Grant Williams kind of hero. Grant Williams had such a legend this year by Celtics fans. Grant Williams. And that man didn't do jack shit. And then, all right, listen, Derek White may have had a little baby just recently, but that was no Fred VanVleet effect because that man was an ofer last night. And, yeah, oh, my gosh, there's so much good stuff to go over. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about this morning. Tom Duke is here. He is an emoticon, Rebus. I have to read real quick. Fire, and championship, pray, and then Maple Leaf Jordan. Maple Jordan, Andrew Wiggins, yes, representing Canada. When he did his post-game interview in the back, he had the Maple Leaf flag with him, representing his home country. Yes, Andrew, we are so proud of you here in the GTA. You are a Toronto Sun. You are from this area. You are a Canadian, and you are someone we are so proud of today. What a great story Andrew Wiggins' career is. He got drafted number 1 by the Minnesota Timberwolves and spent most of his career there so far, languishing with the Timberwolves. And I want to tell people right now that this is a proof that some organizations just do not benefit players, young players, and have horrible development and just don't get them anywhere. And I think the Timberwolves are like that. That, in some ways, Wiggins was stymied his career in Minnesota. And then it really took him going somewhere else, like Golden State, to fully blossom into the confident, great player that he is. And then you look at him as like, what? Was he always a bust or a wash kind of in a way as the number 1 pick in Minnesota because of that team? Or was it because of him just having to take that much time to progress and get that much better over time? I don't know. Congratulations, Andrew Wiggins. You have overcome a lot of baggage, a lot of knocks on you. People said all kinds of different things about you in your career, and now you are a champion, and you stand above it all, and you can say you are a badass. And boy, oh boy, I love to see Steph Curry do well. Steph Curry is not an enemy to me. I have so much respect for him. I want to beat him when the Raptors play him, sure. But you know what? This kid is something on some other level. And that now that he has 4 rings and he finally has a Finals MVP, he has to be included in the discussions with people like LeBron, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan. This man is a top 10 all NBA, all time player at this point. Steph Curry tweeted it last night. He said, y'all talk about my brother Steph. You better start talking about how he is one of the greatest of all time. And I agree with you, Seth Curry, about your brother Stephen, because he is a badass. And I will always remember that day sitting in the Air Canada Center when I was waiting to go to work. I had already set up my sub stand and I'm sitting in the stands and I see those two little Curry brothers out on the court 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, bombing threes, NBA threes, man threes. Like you have to be a man to make those threes. And these were kids, these were middle school kids bombing threes. And I was like, that kid's going to be very good. Little did I know, I was witnessing one of the top 10 greatest NBA players of all time shooting that day as a middle school kid at around 12 years old. Wow, 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 wow. And listen, I'm very, very happy for somebody like Otto Porter Jr. Otto Porter Jr. has always been a solid pro for his whole career. He languished on bad teams in Washington, different places. So it's always cool to see a good pro, a good dude like Otto Porter Jr. get his first ring. That is so fantastic for him. And Gary Payton II, really happy for you, man. You were on our team. We let you go, and we should not have. You have blown up ever since the Raptors cut you. And I hate to think what we could have had if we had kept you. But congratulations to you, GP2. You were fantastic last night. You were a big part of why they won last night. Even though you lost your cool and you're fouling a little too much, Iguodala had to get in your face for a second. Dude, you did a great job. Your plus minus was awesome, and you outscored the Boston bench by yourself, Gary Payton II. So happy to see that. Happy for Kevon Looney. Happy for Klay Thompson even. Yes, this is a Raptors fan talking about Klay Thompson right now. It was sad what happened in 2019 with Klay Thompson when he was playing against us and he could not continue any further. We weren't happy about this, Warriors fans. So understand that we really do celebrate, and we are so happy to see Klay get back there in a way physically that he could play still and contribute to your next championship, because that is a big deal. There was a lot of scary things about Klay's journey in the last 2 years, that the fact that they got back there, that's a big deal. And I love seeing that for you. You know, I really do, Klay Thompson. I really, really do love seeing that for you. Now, Draymond, you know what? If we could have figured out a way that everybody else could have gotten a ring without you, that would have been great. But you know what? I have to give you your due. There's the four of them. They've gotten 4 rings with the Warriors. They've stuck together this whole time. Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Andre Iguodala. What a classy move by Steve Kerr to put Iguodala in for the last couple minutes of the game. That this man has also been one of the common threads through these championships. That he was the first Finals MVP for the Golden State Warriors when they won their first championship of this dynasty. So yeah, just a really fun kind of thing. Aisha Curry get her get back at the Boston fans for saying she couldn't cook. Well, on the menu tonight is a hot pot, a San Francisco hot pot with a side of curry goat, baby, because that's what y'all got last night, Boston Celtics fans. Oh my gosh, how does it sting, Green Machine? How does it sting today? Oh my gosh, y'all talk so much trash about Jason Tatum this, Jason Tatum that. Well, he still ain't got that, is what I'm telling you right now. So don't you try and compare Mr. Tatum to Mr. Siakam, because you ain't got no legs to stand on. This man did not show up in the finals. And our guy, Spicy P, he was great in the finals when we beat Golden State. So yeah, there's still different tiers here in the Eastern Conference. And you guys need to realize that, Boston Green, that we beat the Warriors when we played them in the finals. And you have not beaten them in the finals because of last night. And that is something that we should be able to say over y'all, because that is the damn truth. This is the Golden State Warriors. This is the same franchise. Well, different results last night. And that's why I'm so proud of the Toronto Raptors on this morning, is that in some ways, because of the way things went down last night, the Raptors championship looks all the more better and all the more of an accomplishment. That, you know, we beat Steph in the finals. Yeah, we beat Steph in the finals. And in some ways, I think that the team with Golden State that year was more talented overall in some ways. I mean, on paper, they were amazing. Now, some of them did not make it until the end of the whole series, but still, on paper, that was a badass team that we beat. And Boston couldn't beat this one. So woohoo, woohoo. Tom Duke saying Celtics won momentum in this series and just couldn't recover from games 4 and 5. Does anyone have more championships than Steve Kerr? He has 9 now, but no, Bill Russell has 12. So yeah, somebody does, and his name's Bill Russell, and he's the name of the Finals MVP trophy. Now, what I want to say is really what happened last night is a difference between levels of acumen and experience. That, listen, the Celtics had a rookie head coach. They got a lot of young players that they get to different levels and they learn and they're not so good and this and kind of that. Warriors have been there, done that in every kind of way in the finals. Boston, you looked a little shell-shocked in the middle of the game, a little unorganized, a little incompetent, a little bit like you weren't on the same page or actually figuring it out. You were scared. You could see the Celtics were scared halfway through the game because the Warriors, all right, Celtics jumped out and were kicking their butt in the first couple minutes of the game, but the Warriors turned it around and had some crazy, crazy run where they ended up being up by 20, like in the second quarter. And that was fantastic because it really broke Boston's spirits. Like they tried to come back in little ways, back and forth, but it just never enough. Too little, too late, all kinds of different ways. And the Warriors just kept pouring it on. They couldn't do nothing to stop some of those 3-point shots. And the building was really uncomfortable and like not sure of itself, and the players were too. And that's the thing. These guys knew what they were doing. They're professionals. Steph Curry knows how to be a killer and have that killer instinct. In fact, I love his hand gestures near the end of the game. He did 3 hand gestures. The first one he did was quiet down. And this is not a plane. This is him going, quiet down, Boston fans. And then he's like, I'm pointing to the ring. This is what I'm coming to get. And then he's like, good night. Good night. And oh man, I love it. I can see why people think Steph Curry's cocky and they hate him. He's always chewing on his mouth guard and it looks gross and stuff like that. And he is very talking trash and like, a little bit arrogant. But I will tell you right now, that man deserves that swagger because he is the man who can back it up. He can back it up. That's the difference, Joel Embiid. You need to back it up first before you can get all pantomime on the court with all your little moves and mitts and stuff like that. You got to earn it first, Joel, and you still have not. No, you haven't. Lolita, good morning. I hope you're feeling better today, Lolita. Congratulations to the Warriors. Happy for Wiggs. Yeah, I'm very happy for Wiggs. And maybe we'll see the Larry O'Brien pass through the 416 just because Andrew Wiggins might have it alongside with him. Ragul's here. Good to see Ragul. I haven't seen you in a bit. I'm at Soak. I'm not sure what you're saying. Maybe you got some champagne on you because you're a Warriors fan and you're enjoying the celebration after last night. Kudos to you, Golden State. I didn't necessarily think you were going to win this year. Like, honestly, if you told me at the beginning of the year that Golden State was going to get the championship this year, I wouldn't have picked that. And actually, I'm really happy that it worked out this way. That, I don't know if Drake had another bet on top of his bet to make that they're going to win it. He probably did. And hopefully he won some more money because Drake dropped the new album last night at midnight. And that was very planned to go with this Warriors championship. Trust me. That he may have woke up this morning. He had an album hot in the can, ready to go to put out. And he's like, you know what? I feel good today. I feel like my friend Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors are about to win a championship. And let's get live tonight. I'm going to drop my new one at midnight. So Drake putting it out. Honestly, never mind. That's right. That's what they said to the Boston Celtics. I said, honestly, never mind. Because you ain't winning no championship this year, Boston. You're delusional. And listen, your youngness showed off against the experience of the Golden State Warriors last night. Kudos to Udoka. Honestly, you are a great coach. I have a lot of respect for you, but sometimes you have to go somewhere where you've never been and learn some tough lessons. And that's what happened right now. Ragul's saying, I say Tatum is a tier lower than Tatum talent-wise. Siakam. You are full of shit, Ragul, and you're crazy. The man has no ring. Listen, Tatum doesn't show up when things go wrong. And Jaylen Brown is better than Tatum. Listen, if I had to pick in the draft and they were both available, I would take Siakam over Jason Tatum. I'm sorry, Ragul. But listen, he's got a ring, and Jason Tatum does not have a ring, and I have more faith and promise in Pascal Siakam continuing to develop and being more and more of an assassin on this court than Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is high volume and he disappears. And in fact, last night it looked like he looked like a scared little boy. And I'm going to tell you right now, Pascal Siakam would not look like that in that situation. So you can say this if you want, and that is your own opinion, but I respectfully disagree. And that a lot of different things point to the evidence of this. That, we slight Siakam way too much. That this man is all NBA, this man is an all-star, and this man is a very badass, unstoppable scorer. And that's what I'll say. Tom Duke saying Curry has more drive than the whole Celtics squad. His genuine emotions at the post game made me happy for him and his family, who have been through a lot lately. You know what? Yes, that was amazing seeing Steph break up and start crying before the game was even over. He was having a real hard time just finishing the game last night because he was so overwhelmed with emotion. And think about it. Yes, the problems with his parents, having trouble with their marriage. Think about that. Think about the turmoil that he's been on with the team the last couple years and whether they wanted to blow it up and start all over again because they were so bad, and never knowing whether his Splash Brother partner, Klay Thompson, would come back in any kind of good way, that his injuries may have taken him out of his being good ever again. And then the other thing, we got to talk about this. He never won a Finals MVP until last night. And holding it and becoming that and undoubtedly being the Finals MVP is a huge thing. And that it was a big deal to win this without Kevin Durant. That Kevin was rooting for the Boston Celtics last night. Kevin did not want the Warriors to win again, obviously. And that them winning without Kevin Durant says so much more about Steph Curry and his legacy. So lots of reasons for him to get emotional. And once again, a great Raptor, great. Del Curry at courtside with the cigar, ready to go as soon as they won. And yeah, Kendrick Perkins saying, you better watch out, Boston, because there's going to be Golden State champagne spilled on Happy the Leprechaun or Lucky the Leprechaun or whatever the fuck that little fucking thing is in the middle of the court at the Boston Celtics place. Yeah, but yeah, so nice to see that emotion from Steph, and it's real and it's badass. I love it. Alistair saying Curry surpasses KD to me. I think I can agree with this also. KD needs a lot more around him than Steph does in some ways. I mean, that's what we're seeing with the way that Brooklyn's building their team. They obviously need a lot around him if they're going to need all these very good superstars around him also. So, yeah, I can agree with this statement that Steph Curry has kind of elevated himself in a different way, that he needs to be up there, like I said, with LeBron. They both have 4 championships. And that, like, Steph Curry in some ways is more impressive because he's 6'2", and he's done something as a guard that only 2 other guards have done before him. That was Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. So, yeah, that's very impressive. Alistair saying, thank the Lord, Boston lost. Yes, because they would have been so arrogant. The NBA machine would have pushed Boston so crazy on us this summer. They would be saying all this stuff. You know what the Boston fan did immediately after this game got ended? A Boston writer wrote up, well, next year the Warriors are the favorites, but the Celtics are immediately the second best favorite team in the Nets. They started writing up who's going to be the best team next year or best chances to win the championship next year. And guess who was left off that list? And I think it was a big oversight and also speaks to the way that people want to slight us. Yeah, they didn't give no odds for the Raptors, and they listed 10 other teams ahead of us. Well, let's prove this motherfucker wrong about the odds. Oh, yeah. All right, Rigel saying, same as Siakam, he didn't show up in the bubble postseason against Boston. Well, we know why that happened. There was a miscalculation. The man didn't work out during the pandemic because the Raptors did not reach out to him and make sure he was doing something. He sat at home and he watched a bunch of TV, Netflix, and he ate. And he was out of shape when he showed up for the bubble. And that was just poor preparation. That was a mistake by Pascal. But I also blame the franchise that they did not take care of him or get him ready or set up. We didn't know when the season was going to start up again. Everything was so weird at that time. And when a pandemic happens, sometimes there's a little bit of confusion and different things like that. Yes, Pascal could have been way better in that series, but that's part of the reason why he wasn't better. He wasn't prepared. So you cannot look at that. In fact, if you look at that, if he had been prepared, we probably would have won that series with Boston. And then all the things that were written about him would be totally different. He made a mistake and he paid for it. But don't gauge him that way. Gauge him at his best. Gauge him at his best. Do not gauge him at his worst, please, my friend. Tom Duke saying, if I was a Celtics fan, would not be bringing up Tatum. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Ragule's actually a Celtics fan. He's just trying to express his opinion, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with his opinion. And they are close in a lot of ways. It's just that, once again, if we're going to really compare players, we got to look at who's had success ultimately. And the guys that wear red and black, that is a man who has a ring. Pascal Siakam, yeah. Ragul saying Siakam folded during 2019 series against Sixers, and he was inconsistent at times during the 2019 postseason. Yeah, I don't even know why you're suing our guy. We're talking about the Warriors championship, and we aren't talking about necessarily Pascal Siakam in these kind of ways. It's kind of, this isn't a place where you're treading on thin water here, Ragul. I will tell you that right now. Let's see. About that statement, you know what? He did not. You're fucking stupid if you think he folded in the 2019 series against the Sixers. He was Robin to Kawhi's Batman, and that him and Kawhi did the same kind of things that Jordan and Pippen were doing during their championship runs. They both scored an amazing amount of points. In fact, they were like second to Jordan and Pippen as a high-scoring duo. So I don't know where you're getting your facts here. And he was not inconsistent in the championship run. He was very, very good for the most part. And somebody stepped up at different times. So listen, you're going to slight Pascal Siakam, you're going to find your way out here because this is a positive Raptor space. And if you're a fan of another team, you want to talk respectfully, sure. But if you're a Raptor fan, you need to shut the fuck up because you're not speaking the gospel that we speak here. I'll tell you that right now. I appreciate that you enjoy the content, Ragul. We can all be friends. It's just this is no time to be pointing sticks at the Raptors. We're talking about Warriors today and Celtics. No reason to dump on Pascal. Pascal Siakam is an all-NBA player. He's a top player in this league. He's one of the top 10 unstoppable players in the NBA right now. And nobody wants to give him that accolade. I will. That if you take 10 players out of this league that are the most unstoppable, Pascal Siakam is one of them. And I will say that. Raymond Jacobs saying at Ragul, it is all about Barnes and Siakam both getting better together. It's going to be insane. Yeah, it is going to be insane. It's all on the way up. That our guy, Big Four, he's a badass. And he's going to be getting more and more strides and progress with his game and maturing in all kinds of different ways as a pro. And he will be stepping up and stepping up. All these people that keep saying that Scotty's rookie of the year from this last year is going to age poorly, that in the next couple of years, it's going to be looking like Cade should have won it, all this kind of stuff. You guys are stupid because you don't understand what Scotty's about to do. That this man is like a Magic Johnson. He's going to be an all-around talent, and he's going to translate to a lot of winning. Let's just put it that way. That a big reason why the Raptors did better this season than most people thought is because Scotty Barnes was an X factor as a rookie. And he was a common thread in a lot of the glue that kept us winning this season a lot. And that it's just going to get better because he's going to get better. His scoring average is going to get up. He's going to be more dependent on in different kinds of situations, whether it's to win the game at the end of the game or just make big plays. There is a very, very bright future for Siakam and Barnes as far as a point forward dual attack. David's saying, oof, rough night for Tatum. Yeah, it was a rough night, and it is what it is. Listen, he gets lauded. He wants to do all this Kobe comparison stuff. You got a little ahead of yourself. You really did. I love the picture at the end of the night of Wiggins next to Kobe Bryant's picture with the jacket holding the trophy in the locker room in the back. Well, they kind of recreated it with Andrew Wiggins last night instead of Jason Tatum. Look, Jason, you don't have a license or a full ownership of honoring Kobe Bryant. There are many players in this league that love Kobe Bryant, and they want to honor him too. So it was just really cringe what you did during this series. Norman Powell, that he loves Kobe Bryant, and he honors him on the down low all the time. But you don't see him putting it all in our faces. That's the difference right there. Oh, yeah, that's the difference. A real tough night for Tatum. And if I was Boston fan, I would be like, let's get Jaylen Brown more involved and more as our top dude. And let Jason Tatum be the second banana. Or maybe, hey, even see what you can get for him on the trade market. There may be other people out there that may be more suited to help y'all win than Jason Tatum because honestly, he's a high volume shooter that misses a lot. Sure, he's got different talents and stuff like that, but he also blows coverages on defense too. So there's a lot of glaring problems with his game. And that's what I will say. That's why I'm not as big on him as everybody else is. Everybody says, oh, Tatum this, Tatum that. That motherfucker is a sham. He is not as good as everybody thinks he is. I'm sorry. He just isn't. Raymond Jacobs saying Barnes is going to be number one. Siakam shines as number two. I'm totally okay with this, Raymond Jacob. Listen, whoever wants to grow up and be Batman on this team, if Scotty Barnes is Batman all of a sudden, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And Siakam's real good as Robin. We've seen him do that too. But it's not like it's going to be like a total, it could be very equal. It may not be like a Kawhi Pascal thing. It could be a very, very equal kind of thing where they're both very similar and that kind of thing. So, all right. David wants to throw a wrench. All right. Tom Duke saying right here, watching closely. I knew he would be easy for Lex. Yeah, it's not even like a big deal. I like Regul. He's been here before. It's just that this is a weird topic for him to be championing right now. Rank Scrub is saying 2023 will be about Siakam embracing being the mobile second option who threatens the rim and attacks defenses by moving off ball aggressively and seeking out mixed matches. Yeah, that's the thing. We were trying to do everything so hard with our offense this season. It seemed like we made our offense harder on ourselves by not sharing the ball, passing it around a lot, really trying to go through brick walls on offense often. Like maybe it was OG trying to bully through people down low, or Fred or Pascal trying to force isolation play off the dribble at the top of the key. No, work off each other, make it easier, really recognize those mismatches and execute on them. That is what the Raptors can do to easily improve their offensive efficiency for next year. And I fully expect this, that with more familiarity and more trust with our core and the players, they know each other. Like, look, that was really a glaring thing last night. Golden State has a familiarity and a history together that they really know how to play together. Some of the passes they were throwing to each other around, you really shows that this is a team that's very familiar and comfortable playing with each other. And that's something you don't get without having time together. And that's the thing that's the most exciting thing about the Raptors core is as they get more time together, they're going to get better and better with their synergy. And that's what I expect next year is there's going to be an uptick on the team just because of more familiarity. That last year was an orientation. This year they go to work is how I'm putting it right here. Oh, yeah, they're going to go to work next year. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let's see. All right. Okay, Regul says Scotty's going to be in all-star tier. Same for Cade and Mobley. Yeah, I think so too. A lot of people are saying Scotty could be an all-star this coming year, and I think they may be right. That he has an all-star kind of glow to him. He has an all-star persona. He is the kind of guy that the NBA can tout as a golden boy and push forward, like they did with Ben Simmons, and they probably shouldn't have. Scotty's the right one. If you do this to Scotty, NBA, he won't burn you like Simmons. He will get a good role model, a good dude that deserves it, a guy that will improve and get better and better, and you will grow this superstar in your league and make people more and more interested. So, yeah, I think that maybe he could be an all-star this year. We've seen LaMelo get all-star after a rookie year, which is really – that was stupid that he got all-star this year, honestly. We've seen Ben Simmons become an all-star after a Rookie of the Year award also. So, yeah, Scotty could be online for it, and it may be interesting to see him possibly get it over Cade or Mobley. Now, they may try and slight Scotty for those other guys. If the all-star voting this year, we'll have to see. Like, if we see one of those two guys on the all-star team and not Scotty, that could be messed up. But it may really depend on who's doing what. But, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see which of those three guys from this rookie class may possibly be an all-star this year. Tom Duke says Scotty Roy is a little better than the other two. True, they will all be all-stars. I think they will, although I'm not totally sure about Mobley. I think that Cade will for sure, and Scotty obviously. But Mobley, I'm not totally sure about. There's some things about him that make me think he's kind of middling. Yeah, I know I said that. Yeah. He played alongside Jared Allen this season, and he had a lot of good players, big players around him that kind of take away from the attention on him. If he was on a team where he was one of the few big guys, if he wasn't on like Tower City with the Cleveland Cavaliers 7-foot roster, he may have had a different success this past year. Seriously. So, like, if he was on Orlando, he wouldn't have been anything. this year. Seriously, he would have just been this top guy on their team scoring a lot, and nobody would have paid attention to him. So he's kind of lucky he's in Cleveland and he's around a lot of tall guys around him that can help him with the tall guy stuff. We don't talk about that enough. That Mobley had help with tall guy stuff because he played next to Jared Allen and Kevin Love and Laurie Markkinen and all these other 7-foot guys around him, stuff like that. So Ragul's saying, I lost faith in Jalen Green because he's not in the right situation with Houston. And don't get me started on Jalen Suggs. All right, Ragul's back on track. Yeah, Jalen Green, to me, he's just really an athletic guy. I don't even know if he's a really good NBA player. Like, I see just like some crazy tricks and stuff like that. He seems like he should be on the N1 team, N1 and maybe a street ball team. And maybe the NBA isn't his kind of thing. Like, he's a skip to my Lou kind of guy. So anybody who thinks Jalen Green's going to blow up and be a really, really good NBA player, he may just be a flashy guy who never does anything in his career. And you're right, where he is really going to hold him back. Houston is not the place you want to be if you're a young developing player. And yeah, Orlando, Jalen Suggs, don't even get us started. Same, I'll say the same thing. Ragul says, I think Siakam can flourish as a second option. I can agree with this also. And I think that Tatum can too. I think they just need to relent and let Jaylen Brown be number one and really start acting like he's the number one because he deserves that credit. In some ways, Celtics Nation is kind of shooting themselves in the foot. You need to really start recognizing Jaylen Brown in some ways. If anything, they should be treated equally as possible because they do a lot of the same things at the same level in some ways. Like last night, Green was their best player by far. He 34 points, yeah, and he actually shot really well. He was like 12 for 23. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't have a problem with Pascal being our second option, especially if it's Scotty coming up or Precious or one of these other guys. OG could still step up and be our number one guy. Was Pascal second. As crazy as that sounds. People don't believe me, but it could happen. Let's see. David's saying, are we winning a chip next year? I think we have chances for sure. I think we do too. I think that the East is wide open. I think that really is. Like, I look at the games that we played against Boston and Golden State this past season. We look at the second game of the season where we beat Boston on their home court, routed them. In Udoka's first Boston game in Boston Arena, we beat them down and embarrassed them in his opening game. And that was a lot of it was Scotty Barnes. That Boston, in a lot of ways, they got on a good run this season and they made a really good record. But you also have to realize how much the refs help them, how much the NBA tries to help them and prop them up and stuff like that. Sure, they had a good record and all this kind of stuff. And they did pretty good and stuff like that, but they still have some real deficiencies with their team. They really do. And Golden State exposed them for it. And as far as any of the other teams like Philadelphia, they put at the top, the Nets, all these other teams, they have huge problems with their teams on the down low and that they're not talking about enough. This Kyrie thing is a huge thing. The Harden thing is a big deal with Philadelphia. There's issues with these teams, and it's not clear cut any of them are going to rise to the top in the East next season. That we could be that team that steals all their thunder, and we're the ones in the finals next year for the Eastern Conference. And, I didn't mention Milwaukee. That's another team that needs to be talked about and is dangerous. But that's the thing. They can talk about Boston being so good and try and pencil them in for the finals next year, but that's not a given. I'll tell you that right now. And that this year was maybe one of their best chances to get a championship in Boston. They're going to regret this and they're going to hate this for years to come, that they lost to the Warriors last night. I'm going to tell you that right now. So I like our chances to get to the finals as the Eastern team because the East is wide open. Nobody can tell you there's an Eastern Conference juggernaut right now. I don't think the Boston Celtics are a juggernaut, not after what I saw there. And that, in some ways, the Raptors may have handled the Warriors easier than the Celtics in some ways. We may have been able to match up better with them. I went to the Warriors-Raptors game this season in Toronto. It was a weird game where they didn't send any of their core guys. It was basically Jordan Poole in the bench against the Raptors, and we kicked their ass. And Stevie Roots and I loved it. We were at that game together talking trash, and we beat the Warriors this year in the Air Canada Center. And I know that it was their B team. It wasn't the best Warriors team, but at least we can say we beat the Warriors this year. Let's see. All right. David's saying, I expected Scotty to be awesome this year, which he was. I'm expecting an absolute monster year next year. Yeah, I think that we'll see what happens. Like more confidence, have been down the road a little bit with the NBA and know what to expect in different ways. That can really change things. Like players know more about what to expect. It's not so unknown. They've been to an arena before because they came last year. They played against certain players before because they played last year and stuff like that. And yeah, I agree with this. I think that he could have a huge leap that people didn't even realize that he could get even better. Like people may be gauging Cade and Evan right now the way they were this year because that is really who they are. But Scotty didn't even scratch the surface of his potential and just how much better he can be. Like this season could be very telling about that. Rank Scrubs said Jalen Green has improved his ability to attack the basket without hitting the floor, so he has potential to grow. All right, yeah, I don't pay enough attention to Houston. I'm just going by what I've seen in games where he messes around too much. He's a little too careless. He's not a good fundamental player. He's one of these flashy guys who likes showing off his athleticism and doing stuff that may not be the best thing to do for winning basketball. That's what I'll put it that way, right there. David's saying, I was one of the few rooting for Scotty, not Jalen Suggs. Good job, David. I'm glad you had that foresight ahead of things. There were so many people that wanted Suggs at the time. And we're just so happy. This is why we trust in Masai. This is why. Ragul saying Siakam has to be 1A option, Barnes 1B option, and OG and Gary could either be the third option. Yeah. Yeah, and it may be a revolving carousel of who is the one option, the second option, 1B, as you put it, 1A, stuff like that. That may change every single night. We can't forget about Fred stepping up and being the man on certain nights and maybe being the number one option overall. I could see Gary being the number one option on a certain night. That's the thing. We have a lot of equity. We're not built like other teams where it's really reliant on really dependent like players. And that kind of hurts us sometimes because nobody shows up sometimes. But when you have like 5 or 6 players who could show up and be our leading scorer and take over the game, that's actually kind of a strength in some ways. That they don't know if OG is going to come up and be the man for the night like he did in New York early in the season this year. Or do they know that Pascal or, all of a sudden Scotty starts really taking over games offensively? Instead of just passing and playing good defense and rebounding, he decides, I want to start getting the points. Because there was that game on Twitch when he played as the Raptors and he said, I'm gonna take over. And Scotty was like taking all the shots. It was hilarious. He's like, he has that mentality that maybe at some point he may want to take over the game and force his will on it. And that kind of way. It'd be very interesting. Freddie has to take a step back in the offense. I agree he does in some ways, but that may benefit everything in all kinds of ways. It'll benefit his health and not possibly being too injured by the end of the season. It'll benefit other guys growing their games, and maybe he can be more efficient. That like maybe we use Fred in the right kind of doses and ways that he's very efficient. And that may be one of the things he's looking at this offseason is how do I become more and more efficient like a Jose Calderon or like a John Stockton kind of point guard. Those point guards were really good at having high efficiency with assist to turnovers and just making really good shots, picking and choosing their spots when they're going to take the shots and really making them count. But yeah, I wouldn't count Fred out. Listen, we're going to do the Share the Love Club for Fred tomorrow. That's right. Fred VanVleet, Share the Love Club tomorrow. And we're going to talk about the reasons why we love Fred and stuff like that. Because there is a lot of noise about people that are not happy about his contract extension possibly happening this summer and us investing in him in the future because people don't understand his importance and how we do need to keep him around. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Yeah. Ragul said Jake Fisher is so salty about Barnes calling him sickening. Jake Fisher should get another job. Yes, Ragul. All right. You are totally redeeming yourself here now, Ragul. We have no doubt that Ragul's one of us now because he's talking about Scotty Barnes and his sickening comment about Jake Fisher. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like Jake, I went and looked at his Twitter this morning just to see if he's saying any stupid noise. He ain't talking about the Raptors in any kind of way now. And I think he's realizing now that not only will he get a backlash, he'll get a little bit of traffic, but his credibility is taking such a hard hit right now. And it's funny because it's not just the fans like me and you guys that are writing it and calling him out and stuff like that. It's Scotty. Scotty is calling him out. And in some ways, his reputation and his credibility is really shot publicly. And that maybe Jake has to come back to earth in reality and start maybe being more a sensible journalist and building up his credibility again before he starts just throwing out crazy, stupid shit like he did the last couple weeks. So, yeah, I love that comment. And yeah, if Jake's a little salty, I mean, it's hilarious. I was there on the Twitch when Scotty pulled up his phone. He said, "Look who's following me, y'all. It's Jake. Jake from State Farm is following me on Instagram." And it was funny. He was disgusted by him. And he took that moment to really just like, I can't believe what he says about my brothers and stuff like that. So yeah, it's awesome. David's saying, I agree about Mobley. He's good, but we'll see. I think that's the guy that everybody should be saying, like, you know what? He's a little bit hyped for his rookie year in some ways, that he may not be like these guys may have hit a lot of their ceiling already, Mobley and Cunningham in some ways. Like what you see is what you get. Not with Scotty, that there are ways he's going to develop and get even better. And I don't know. Kate Cunningham had to do everything for Detroit already. How much better can he get than this with his scoring average and different things like that? Don't get it twisted, Detroit. You know this man was going out of his mind for y'all, and maybe he's already playing at the level you're going to get him. And Evan Mobley, like I said, he's in a forest full of trees. He's easy to be a tall tree when you got other tall trees around you. So that's what I'll say about that. And David, I like that you're kind of seeing what I'm saying. And listen, as much as they put propaganda and stuff like that against our Scotty boy and all of our other guys like Siakam, we need to put propaganda against them. They want to slight our guy and not include Scotty Barnes and rookie rankings and all this kind of stuff that are put out on Twitter. Well, we'll just do it right back to them. I don't think Evan Mobley's going to be any better than he is right now, or Cade Cunningham. That Evan Mobley's really good because he has big guys around him to help him with the physicality and the big things that have to do. He didn't have Jared Allen. He may not be as good as he is. Let's just put it that way. Ragul's saying, but back to finals. I'm really happy that Klay Thompson got back this season. Me too. Like, honestly, I don't like the ugliness that we've had between Warrior Nation and Raptor Nation. And now that the Warriors have won a championship again, this is good because now they can stop their talk and focus more on being champions again than trying to asterisk our championship against them. That seriously, hopefully there will be more respect for the Raptors championship because Boston could not do what we did. And also that, Warriors fans, you guys need to really respect the Raptors and some of the ways that we did things against y'all. That, we did some good stuff, but we were not happy that you didn't have your best in 2019. We wanted to beat Durant and Klay Thompson. We wanted to beat your whole squad, and we could have. Trust me. Draymond says that to Fred VanVleet to his face on his podcast. He's like, "Oh, you wouldn't have beat us if KD had been healthy." And Fred's like, I respectfully disagree. It's woulda, coulda, shoulda. We don't know what would happen. But I felt really confident about the Raptors at that time because we were a team of destiny. Kawhi was playing at a crazy level, and we had all things going on all cylinders. That we had Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka doing amazing things defensively. We had Siakam running like crazy. Fred VanVleet just had a son, and he was going nuts. And they're saying that don't compare Derek White to Fred VanVleet for having a kid because we saw what Derek White did last night. It's like just because you have a kid doesn't mean you're going to be shooting the lights out for the whole playoffs after that. And that was proven by Derek White's performance near the end of the finals. And also Fred played very well all the way through the finals after Fred Jr. was born. Raymond Jacob is saying 2023 prediction, second seed Raptors, first seed Bucks, Eastern Conference Finals, Raps versus Boston, Finals, Raps versus Golden State Part 2. Winner, who do you think, fool? Raymond Jacob already put his predictions. He's like Chris Criscom. You know what? We'll keep this in a tab, and we'll see how close you are next year, Raymond. You could be right. Mr. Jim Morrison. All right, let's see. Oh, Monique's here. Good to see Monique. Blake Murphy is awesome. Great insight. Blake Murphy is usually really, really good. Some of the stuff he says. I like the glowing words he has for Andrew Wiggins last night. Listen, we should really champion Andrew Wiggins, a number one pick in the NBA draft, a Canadian, a guy from our community, and he is representing us with the maple leaf flag at the interview afterwards. Even I think on stage he had it when they were at championship stuff like that. Really cool to see all the kids, all the Golden State Warrior kids on the stage, hugging and being with their dads and stuff like that. Just it was just fun, and I'm happy for Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr getting 9 championships as a player and a coach last night. He's a good dude. I've always liked Steve Kerr. He's a Spurs guy. I like Spurs Nation. And honestly, now that Warriors have won and this thing, I think that maybe I can go back to being a little bit more of a Warriors fan again. That rooting for them last night made me realize that I have a passion and a love for the Golden State Warriors franchise that I've had since I was a kid. Like when they had Chris Mullin and Tim Hardaway and Mitch Richmond run TMC, I was a huge fan of Golden State. I had Golden State hat when I was a kid. And so there is affinity of history for me towards that club. And now that they've won, like I said, there's a lot of the us versus them because of that finals and the shit talking that maybe will go away. And I can be more friendly towards Warriors Nation and also kind of like root for them on the West. I root for San Antonio first, but Golden State could be my second Western team. I have no problem with that because I like Steph, I like Andrew Wiggins, and the Canadian connections on that team. So, all right, let's see. Ragule's saying Scotty can have the same impact as Giannis. He could dominate the game even without taking jump shots. Yeah, I think even more than Giannis because he really is a point forward. This man is a great passer, and he does really make his teammates better like Magic and Michael used to back in the day. That is the sign of a really good player is when you make your other teammates elevate their game. And Steph Curry was doing that last night. When Steph Curry gets doubled and triple teamed, he makes his other players better because they're wide open. It's that kind of effect. And I think that may happen with Scotty as time goes on, that they may need to double him and do different things, and that may make things easier for other guys on the team. That's the thing. With the Raptors, they are not going to know who to double or who to come and guard. They may feel like they need to double Pascal. They may feel like, oh my gosh, OG's in the post with the little guy on his back. We need to bring the double at him. And the Raptors just really need to pay attention to how they're rotating to double and really make them pay by getting it to the open man. That'll be a huge way that we can get good shots next season if they start doubling us more. Because in some ways, a lot of teams like to just play us straight up because there are too many weapons in different places. And if you do double the Raptors too much, somebody's you don't want open is going to get open. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Monique saying a step back in minutes for Fred too. Yeah. I think that he welcomes this. This is part of why he said what he said the other day. And this is why we're doing the Share the Love Club, Fred VanVleet, tomorrow. Is that Fred is an ultimate team player. Anybody who thinks this man has an ego and he's looking at his stats and that's what matters to him is wrong. This man is willing to be the role player of any role that he needs to be. I'm not saying he's a role player. I still think he's a team captain, a leader. He's somebody who could be a go-to guy. He's a guy I would really want to try and shoot a clutch shot at the end of the game because he has experience and he's good for that. It maybe it's the kind of thing where we see Pascal driving the lane and he kicks it out to Fred, who's open, and he hits an open three, just like Steve Kerr would for Michael Jordan when he played for the Bulls. So it's that kind of stuff that we should expect from Fred. It may be that he gets less minutes. It may be that he doesn't have the ball in his hand as much, but he may still have comparable stats. That he may still be able to get good stats in less time because, once again, I say he's being used more efficiently. That we're not overusing him and overworking him, having to do so much to carry the team like we had to last season because of injuries, because of youth experience. And that is what I'm talking about. That these guys will be more experienced, will have more confidence in Pascal and Scotty carrying the ball, and Fred will have less weight on his shoulders by an effect of that. So, yeah, Monique, I completely agree. Fred will have his minutes take down a little bit, but it won't be that he's upset about it. And honestly, he could still have just as good stats with less minutes. It's just they'll be more efficient. At Ragul, how do you spell your name? I think I looked this up when I saw his name on there. This is the kind of thing I do. I do research in general. This is what I love to do. And I looked up your name, Ragul, because I wanted to say it correctly after you showed up a couple weeks ago. And I want to make sure I was saying it right because I know I may say some people's names wrong. Like if I ever say y'all's names wrong, and you can get it across to me, put it out phonetically, I will not get upset because I do want to give you guys all the respect. As my name is Alexi, you can understand I have had my name butchered all kinds of different ways. There's about 500 different variants of how you can say Alexi. And I want to make sure I say y'all's names correctly because it's the same kind of thing. I think it's Ragul because that's when I looked up to it. When I looked up to it, it was Ragul, I think, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Monique's saying Jake is an asshole. More official. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I want to get to the point where maybe we don't talk about Jake anymore. Let's just let him go away. And even when he brings up the next shitstorm of some sort of bullshit, let's just ignore him. Because, like I said before, we give power to what we give attention. And that, people like Trump and different people like that, we ignore them more, they get less power. You see what happened when Trump wasn't president anymore. He's languishing, and man looks like he looks real sick. Like that picture I seen of him yesterday, he looks like he's in bad shape. And that man is stressed out about these committees. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Ruggles saying, I see Cade Cunningham becoming more efficient. Detroit needs to build a winning team around Cade. Yeah, all right. He could probably that's probably something he'll do, get more efficient. But because they relied on him so much as the number one this season, like how much more better will he get? Seriously. Because he's already getting everything and having to do everything for that team. And I agree, Detroit's going to be way better. I think they'll be better next year. I think they might even be a playoff team next year. That the young players with Beef Stew and different guys like that, they have some real weapons and they're very dangerous. And Coach Casey, this is what he does. He did it for us. He builds bad teams into playoff teams. And that's what he's going to do with Detroit. He's closer than ever this year. And I fully expect Detroit to be a real handful. And we need to beat their ass this year just for get back from last year. And they will probably be a playoff team. I'm going to tell you that right now. They may be like the 7th or 8th seed in the play-in, but I'll bet you if they're in the play-in, they're going to beat the team they're up against in the play-in, and they will get a full playoff series. Detroit this year. That's my prediction right now. Way ahead of everything. We haven't even done free agency or seen the draft. And I'm already saying Detroit's going to be in the playoffs next year. All right, let's see. Okay. Ragul's also saying people forget that OG Anunoby missed the entire playoffs for 2019. Yeah. He's the type of defender you put on Curry, Kevin Durant, or Klay Thompson. Teams leave Draymond open if he's behind the 3-point line. Yeah. Yeah. Speak the gospel right here, because this is true. OG could have been a huge factor in the finals. Everybody's so quick to say, well, we didn't have Clay. We didn't have Kevin. Well, we didn't have OG, one of our best defenders. And he could have been a huge factor in our playoff run, like an added addition on top of everything that OG Anunoby. But listen, the experience was there. He saw it all while it went down. It's the same kind of thing with Kuminga and these youngsters that are on the Warriors this year. They get to see how it's done. They're a part of it. They see the whole thing. They get to see the celebration. And hopefully it makes them hungry to get another one, and one where they actually contribute and they're a big part of it. And that's what I want to see from OG. Is like, yeah, you got a ring, OG, but you want to go get a ring that you helped get instead of just sitting on the bench and watching. He should have that kind of motivation, OG, for sure. Monique saying, did you hear the good news on Chris Boucher and Thad Young resigning for Blake Murphy? Okay, Monique, if you're breaking news and you're saying that Blake Murphy has the inside line on news about Chris Boucher and Thad Young resigning with the Toronto Raptors this summer, hey, I'm all for it. Right now, it's speculation until I see it for sure, and if it's announced by the team. But yeah, I love hearing that, Monique. And if Blake is putting that out there, it's probably got some juice to it because Blake is a reliable source for Raptors news, unlike Mr. Jake. Ragul saying at Raymond, it's Rigel. Okay, good. All right, I will get it right. Rigel. So the U I will leave out. I'm just going to say Rigel. You got it, buddy. You're Rigel now. I'm going to do it right. Raymond Jacob, cool name. That's good. Tom Duke saying Rigel. Cheers, buddy. Way more interesting name than Tom. Tom's kind of a cool name. You're like Tom Brady, Tom and Jerry, Tom the Turkey, Tom Jones. Let me keep naming Toms. How many Toms do you guys think I can name? We could play some good, fun names here. Like Tom Hardy. Isn't that weird? Tom Hardy? Isn't that a name or something like that? All right, let's see. Rigel is saying, I expect the Raps to retain Thad, but not confident about Boucher. See, I'm in reverse on that. I'm way more confident about Boucher, and I'm not so sure about Thaddeus because Boucher has time accrued. He's like really is close with the team. I mean, he had a basketball camp in Toronto yesterday. Actually, he was doing basketball camps yesterday and today. There's a basketball camp in Toronto area. I think it's out in Pickering or somewhere out there, and you guys could go to it today. Like, I don't think it's full. Like, if you are in Toronto and you ain't got nothing to do today, look up the Chris Boucher basketball camp and go to it right now because it's going on today. And I looked like there wasn't a good turnout for the one yesterday. So maybe you all need to go down there and meet Chris Boucher and get some basketball skills from him real quick. But I think it's the other way. And the reason why is because Thaddeus is older. Thaddeus commands more money than Chris. Like, if we're looking at them both and we can only do one of them, I want to do Chris because Chris we can get for less money than Thad in some ways, unless Thad wants to take a huge pay cut and go lower and come in on a veteran discount just to stick around and be an end of the bench vet kind of guy. Because even if Thad comes back next season, there's no guarantee he will be a main rotation kind of guy. He may actually be a role player or sit at near the end of the bench like he did for San Antonio last season. Because hopefully we will upgrade our overall players and talent. Our guys got better. We got some new young guy that's come in. He wants minutes. Maybe Svi's actually playing better going into the season and making his shots. And Thad may not even be a rotation player this season. That he may be just like an emergency in case of emergency break glass veteran to come in, or just a veteran presence on the bench and things like that. So I much more value Chris Boucher, and I think he's more likely, honestly, because we can get him for probably 13 or 12 million a year. And Thad might want 17 million a year because last year he got like 15 million. And he's probably, if he wants more than he got last year, he's going to want 16 or 17 million. And I don't know if I want to invest that much in a 34-year-old Thaddeus Young. That's what I'll say right there. So let's see. Rigel saying, I think OG and Siakam are underrated as passers. They're going to become better playmakers for this upcoming Raps 2023 season. I want Gary to develop his passing. Yeah, Gary's a little bit of a black hole when he gets the ball, and that's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I wish more of our guys were more aggressive to want to shoot. And sometimes I worry the Raptors are too hesitant and they want to keep passing. Like, go ahead and shoot. And Gary's the only guy on the team that will shoot for sure. And some people knock him for that, but somebody has to have the guts to take the shots. So I don't really care about Gary developing into being a better passer. He's a good passer. It's just that he doesn't do it a lot. That he's the one who's the end of the line and taking the shot. And in some ways that's good because he's one of our best shooters and we want him shooting. I think you're right about the first part, especially Siakam. Siakam's gotten so much better about passing out of double teams and just having a better court vision and finding people. Now, Scotty has an inherent natural court vision with the no-look passing and stuff like that, the flashy stuff. But Siakam has had to work on really looking for the guys and finding them. And as he gets older and older as a player, he's going to get better and better at this. This is an area where he'll get more second nature and understanding, well, if I'm in this place and there's like three guys around me, well, boom, I just need to throw it between their legs and boom, there's OG spotting up for a three out there. Now, OG, yeah, he's somebody who definitely could get better with the passing. He's not really known for being a super great passer. Once again, he's kind of like Gary. He's an outlet. He's a guy at the end of the line who takes a shot if he gets it, stuff like that. But I think he is the kind of player that could get better, like I was just talking about with Pascal, that if he's going to be getting the ball in the low post more this season because he's playing a little bit of bully ball, he may need to recognize when he needs to pass out, when he's too covered and there's somebody wide open somewhere, because that may be the way easier shot if he can get it outside to the person who got left and stuff like that. So Rigel saying Raps would have beat the Warriors if we had OG Anunoby in the finals. I like that kind of thinking. I think that we would have beat them no matter what. And that, with they're all healthy, we would all healthy. I think we were going to beat them. We were just a team of destiny that year. We just were. I mean, getting Marc Gasol and having that kind of veteran leadership, Serge Ibaka, Kyle Lowry, come on, our team was stacked in 2019, and it doesn't get the respect that it deserves from the majority of the NBA. Isaac's here. Good to see Isaac again. Wiggins is now the second best Canadian to ever play in the NBA, and I'm figuring you're going to say Steve Nash is number one. Yeah. I'm trying to think of all the different Canadians that played in the NBA over the years, and I think you might be right that with this championship and this kind of thing that happened to him, he's an All-Star this year. Maybe I might give him this. I'm trying to think if there's somebody else that might dispute this because there may be a Canadian from way back that we're forgetting, or there could be somebody more recent. I don't know. Yeah, I think you might be right. This could be a very. I have to think about this. Steve Nash is definitely the greatest Canadian basketball player to ever play. He's a two-time NBA MVP. He did not win a championship, but he really has the accolades as an individual in the NBA. Steve Nash. David saying some talks of Ayton to Detroit. Seems like that would be a good fit for him. That's scary. I don't like that. I don't like that. I'd much rather Ayton end up in Atlanta is where I'm here, and that's a really big target that they may trade with Atlanta and do a swap with them. Ayton in Atlanta seems like it makes sense to me. I do not want to see him on Detroit because that's going to make things way, way more difficult with Detroit and that core they're building. What I was just talking about. We don't want Ayton coming there because that's going to upgrade the Pistons too much. But in Atlanta, I could see him just kind of being a lateral, just a little bit of an upgrade on Capella and not much better than Capella. Capella is really good in some underlying ways, and he will help the Hawks, but I'd much rather DeAndre Ayton end up in a Hawks jersey next season. Granny Evelyn's here. Granny is here. Beautiful people. The beautiful people. The beautiful people. I love you, Granny Evelyn, and I hope that baby Candace is nearby and smiling. David S. is saying, Tom Hanks? Okay, you want to talk about Tom Hanks, David? All right. Maybe I should do the impression. It was like, you stay away from my wife. No, that was messed up. And you know what? He's right. And LeBron called this out, and he's right too. It's like we need to stop treating celebrities like, there's different ways of looking at this. Like, listen, these people have their own private lives. They need to have their privacy and not be encroached on. And if somebody's touching somebody's wife or getting physical with someone, that's wrong. And I don't disagree with what Tom Hanks did. That he's a nice dude, but it's like he's a little stressed out. He doesn't want people touching his wife and stuff like that. He's totally within his rights. And that, LeBron calling out people in public for getting a little too close to people or messing with family members and stuff like that, he's right. That in some ways, the pandemic has been really bad for people getting cooped up and thinking they can get out of pocket once they get out and they have their freedom out of the house because of the lockdowns and stuff like that. People go to basketball games and all of a sudden they're running on the courts. They go to wrestling matches. All of a sudden they're attacking the wrestlers, stuff like that. Y'all, just because y'all were pent up and ready to get out and have a good time, doesn't mean you got the license to go and do this crazy shit. Now, respect the event. Do not try and run on the event. And if you see famous people in public, give them their respect. They are people still, and give them their space. Maybe they'll be nice and talk to you, but you do not need to be rushing people like you did Rita Wilson the other day and stuff like that. So Tom Duke's laughing about it. Morning to Granny Evelyn from Tom Duke. David's saying no chance he'll get paid that by anyone. Who are you talking about? Thad. Yeah. There's no way that somebody's going to pay $17 million to Thaddeus Young. He's got to be really realistic about what he wants. Now, if he wants to balance money or a good situation, he may take a lot less money to stay in Toronto. We'll have to see. I'm not against bringing back Thad. He's a great fit. It's just I don't want to pay a steep price to keep him on the team. So if he's at a good, affordable price, hey, I'm all about having him on the team because he's great for synergy. He's great for leadership. And he has proven that he can do a lot of good intangibles for us in our nucleus. So I'm all for getting him. I just don't want to overpay him. And he should make less than Chris. I'm going to tell you that right now. He should make less than Chris. Top's back. I hadn't seen you a bit. So good to see you, Top. Great win for Golden State. This lock Fred in at $30 million a year. Please, no, he's not worth that. He kills many fast breaks, getting blocked in transition or slowing up to take threes. In where most guards would draw a foul, dunk, or layup, Fred gets blocked in a ton of in transition in half court, drives essentially killing many traditionally easier baskets. All right, Top. And this is a very much the kind of argument that people that are not into this Fred retaining him or paying him extra money has been saying. Well, let me just point a couple of things. I'll break this down step by step. First of all, Fred is worth 30 million a year. I know that that sounds crazy, but listen, once again, this is what I'm going to say. Forget about the number. Forget about the number. It's all about, do we want to keep him or not? Do you want Fred on your team? Yes, because he's a leader. He's a link to our championship year. He was a very, very crucial part of that championship, and he understands what it takes to get there. This is all really, really important. Look at the Celtics after last night. They don't necessarily have, like, Al Horford can't say that he has a ring and bring that kind of experience to the Celtics roster as a vet and a leader for that team. Meanwhile, Fred can at a younger age. That cannot be devalued. And that if you're worried about money taking up space in the salary cap and taking away from other guys, well, this is what the Warriors did. They kept the bird rights on their players and they paid everybody and kept them. If they can keep Draymond, Clay, Steph, Iguodala, and then other periphery high-paid players, then we can do the same in Toronto. And that in a lot of ways, not that Fred is Steph Curry, but he is our Steph Curry. That if we want to continue to have a dynasty linkage to our second championship, Fred is essential for this. And that the money that shouldn't matter if we can retain all of them and pay them all in different ways. Now, we may not be able to get all of them, but we'll make the tough decision stuff. And I think Fred is absolutely essential. That you may think that he does. All right, I'll go over what you're saying here. He's not worth that. You're saying he's not worth that. I don't agree with that. That his leadership, he has a certain swagger about him as far as a dangerous player on the court that's similar to Steph Curry. And most guys don't have that. That they have to come out and guard Fred pretty early when he comes across half court. And that Fred, on the scale of players in the league, is closer to Steph Curry than 95% of the league. And if you put it that way, think about that kind of value for him. First of all, you get the leadership, the experience. Really is the team captain. He is number one, the guy who's telling the guys and the ones that they respect and stuff like that. So you get that. You get also the fact that this dude is a great shooter. He will hit huge threes for us at different times. We cannot go by judging him from the second half of last season. That the man was hurt. He was on one wheel, and he still played at a pretty good level for not being 100%. And that don't let your recent memory of how he played tarnish who he really, truly is. That is what I'll say about that. As far as like he kills many fast breaks, getting blocked in transition or slowing up to take threes, and where most guards would draw a foul, a dunk or a layup, he gets blocked a ton in transition. Listen, he does get blocked when he goes inside, but this is the thing. This is what we're saying. He will adjust. And he said it himself 2 days ago in his interview that he wants to be a Raptor for life. I'm all for that. I have no problem with that because he is the kind of person we want around for his whole career. And that also he's willing to take a step back. You want guys that put team first. You want guys that are going to say, I will change my role to fit us having the best chance to win. And this is what he's going to do this year. You're going to be pleasantly surprised top of top with how Fred's role changes this season coming up. He's going to have less responsibility on his shoulders, and he'll be able to shine even brighter, possibly because of this, because he isn't having to carry us so much. So please let him have – listen, once again, I'm going to say this right now. We're not the GMs. And listen, you can disagree with them if they do this deal, but Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri know what's the right thing to do. And when they sign him to an extended contract this summer and he gets more money, that is the right move. You got to trust in these guys because Fred's a real one. He's really loyal. And the man wants to win championships. He has champion DNA, and he wants to build a story and a legacy to his life he isn't a champion. That you look at Fred VanVleet's picture and one of the first words that comes to mind is champion. And that's the kind of dude we want, seriously. So don't worry about the money in relation to other guys like Scotty and Precious and OG and stuff like that, or Gary. Just let Fred get his pay because we can pay them all. We'll figure it out. Trust me. Rigel saying, I'll watch you live tomorrow. Awesome. Yeah. Come back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. We're going to talk Fred. That's what it's going to be about. We're going to share the love club, Fred, and just talk about how, that passion and that lifer attitude for the Raptors is something you don't want to shit on and send away. That's what I'll say right there. Peter's saying, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Peter's here. Now we got both of them here. Peter and David are both here. Are you guys brothers? I want to know the relationship between y'all, or are y'all just totally unrelated? Because we've had the Jacobs here that we're not related. And I want to know if you guys are related, because it seems like it is. Regel's saying, my bad about the Siakam comments. It's all right, man. It's not really a big deal. And honestly, I like when opinions they're differing, because then we can really discuss it and stuff like that. And it's not that I may not be right. I'm a complete homer. As I say, I'm a fan, a fanatic, and a freak about the Toronto Raptors. And I'll always fight for them and argue their side of things, especially when it's Tatum versus Siakam. And you know what? You're perfectly fine with that opinion. And in some ways, a lot of people in the NBA agree with you. So you're in the majority. It's just that we're in the minority that is going to fight for Siakam's name in this fight. And that's all it is. And listen, I don't think that you're any less a Raptor fan because you said that. It's just that that's your observation, your opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to say stuff like that. Just I may come back at you a little bit, especially because I'm not totally sure where you're coming from. Because we've had other fan nations come in here and try and poke the bear, and it has been funny. Actually, it's been a little funny. Yeah, it's all good. I'm a little sensitive sometimes. It's a good way of putting it, David. I'm very sensitive about the Raptors. Listen, there's so much slander and so much talk out there that's negative about them. I am the counterbalance. I'm the one that will punch back and verbally saying the things on our side and punching back and forward. And they have maligned Pascal Siakam in so many different ways over the years that I will push him up and I will prop him up. Oh, yeah. Raymond's saying, yo, I'm too stoned. I'm seeing too Saborin. Raymond, the marijuana farmer. Yes, you're not stoned, and they're brothers. Yes, I knew they were brothers. I'm glad to see that Peter and David are brothers and that you guys are here, both here. It's so fun. I mean, maybe you guys don't live near each other or something, and it's kind of cool to meet on the chat. My brother and I, who's just in town, Carl, we used to meet on SOCOM on PS2 in the early 2000s. We didn't want to pay long distance, so we got on the game and get on the headset, and that's how we did all our talking, was through the first-person shooter game on SOCOM series on PlayStation 2. So it was pretty funny because he lived in Atlanta and I lived in Toronto. So we were so far away. That's how we got out of long distance charges. Evelyn's here. I love Evelyn's statements. I know I said hi to you earlier. I want to see what you're saying here. On this day during the Raptors championship parade, I suffered from 2 broken ribs. After that stampede at Nathan Phillips Square, 2 people trampled upon me, but no regrets. That's a real Raptor fan. Holy crap. Evelyn, you are a tough one. This is on your Raptor Freak resume. I did not know you were at Nathan Phillips Square when that stampede happened, when the man brandished the gun. That must have been near the end of it, and you were over near the courthouse. I'm sorry to hear that happen, but I'm so happy that you're okay. But man, 2 broken ribs. Holy crap. And Evelyn still loves the team, still loves everything about the Raptors culture and stuff like that. You are a real one, Granny Evelyn. You are a tough lady too, that you were out there and that happened to you. I am so sorry that happened to you. That was a dark thing about a great and glorious day. The anniversary is today. 3 years ago today, the championship parade. I was there too, Evelyn. I was a little further down the path. I was on near Queen Street and University, standing around there watching Marc Gasol hanging out the back of the championship bus. Pretty drunk. He was pretty drunk. But man, Evelyn, I'm so happy that you're okay from that. And I hate to hear that you were injured in that incident and that dark part of that glorious, fantastic day. But I love to hear that you have no regrets and that you're just a real Raptor. You are a real one. Holy crap. Evelyn is a real Raptor freak, a real fan. And I love you so much. And learning more and more of your story is just really cool. Yeah, you guys are twins. That's awesome. Okay, David's saying, no, I'm younger and better looking. I love it. I love it. I love it. A little brother talk, shit talk in the stream's always good. Raymond's saying, laugh out loud. Ouch, David, you just got subburned. Suburbaned by Peter. Oh my gosh, there's a good name pun by Raymond there. Really good. Peter's saying, always check the credibility of the source. Peter's saying, is this a Jake Fisher here? So it might be a Jake Fisher here. A little bit of Jake Fisher news coming from David. We'll have to see here. Is Peter's saying, check your source. It's bad news. Oh yeah, and he's sickened by it. He is sickened by this. Marlon Toby, my good friend Marlon Toby. I haven't seen you a bit. I love you, Marlon. You're a good guy. Good morning, everyone. Boston has to now figure out if Tatum is that guy or is it really Jaylen Brown's team because he shows up when it matters. Yes, there's a lot of hashtag not that guy on Twitter this morning with Tatum's picture next to it. It says not that guy. That's all it says, not that guy. And it's hilarious. I think you're right, Marlon, that after you're defeated in the playoffs, whether it's the Sixers, whether it's the Raptors, whether it's the Celtics, you always have to take a little moment to look back and see where it went wrong or really kind of second guess what happened. And are you on the right direction, path, or do you need to do something to change things? And that's what's going on with Boston Nation this morning. It's like, yeah, they've got a pretty good nucleus. And actually, they're going on the right path. I'm not worried about them. I think that they don't need to blow anything up. But maybe they do need to restructure the hierarchy of who is the most important player on this team and suit it to the real top man. It's him, Jaylen Brown, is what I'll say right there. Yeah. Raymond Jacobs saying Tatum going through the 2020 Siakam phase. Yeah, he's got to go through the mental stuff now. This whole summer is going to be pure hell for him. This whole time after this is going to be pure hell for him. And we don't know if he's got that moxie, that kind of character in him to overcome this and get over the hump and get what he wants. Who knows? He may never have it. He may never, ever be able to reach for that Larry O.B. in a champion way. Ooh, I love it. I love seeing Boston fail at the highest level on their home court to a great player like Steph Curry. I really do. I am a hater, Boston. I am such a hater of you. And last night was so beautiful. Tom Duke and I are by the window. We got our tea and we are sipping the tears of Boston Celtics fans right now as Raptors fans. Oh, yeah. Stay so good. Tom, cheers to you. Tom, cheers. Cheers. Sipping that tea like Kermit. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. Race Mode is saying, I watched Hustle play last night. I want to rewatch the old basketball movies to compare. 2 thumbs up from me. All right, Race Mode like Hustle. Hustle was a good movie. I know I gave it kind of a weird review yesterday or the other day, but the reason why truly is because it was very cliche, but it is very entertaining. It's fun to see all the cameos and stuff like that. And that's interesting. Race Mode wants to go and compare news and notes about what's going on. Well, there's a lot about that movie that is fictionalized, but they tried to marry it to reality by having people like Doc Rivers, Tyrese Maxey, Thibault, Tobias Harris in the movie and stuff like that. So yeah, I you know what? I don't give it 2 thumbs up. I give it 1 thumbs up with on the other side. Now, Uncut Gems, 2 thumbs up. That's where I say, if you really want to watch a really good, really good basketball movie, with some thrilling stuff, something that's unique, something you've never seen in the cinema before. Uncut Gems is that movie. Isaac saying, I didn't realize Thad made that much. Chris definitely needs to get paid first. Even a vet player like Ibaka was only making $10 million a year with Bucks and Clippers. Yeah, that's part of the reason why San Antonio was anxious to do this deal with Goran. And part of the reason why the money matched up is because Thad made almost as much as Goran. And it was just good in general to get value for that money spot on our salary cap. And Thad definitely was that. I won't say he was totally worth the 16 million he got paid this year, but he was definitely much better than what we were getting from Tragic. So yeah, he made way more than Chris this year. And I don't think that's right. I think that Chris should be making more. David from State Farm. Oh, Peter's going there. David, you are now David from State Farm, and you may be in a weird Houston Rockets commercial with fake Chris Paul soon. So I don't know. This is great. Any kind of like back and forth between David and Peter, we want you guys to have brotherly love. But if this is already a dynamic of a little bit of trash talking between your relationship, if it happens in here and it's part of the entertainment of the Raptor Freak channel, we're all about it. Everybody's got their own thing, like Granny Evelyn and I, Tom Duke, Raymond Jacob, Click, G, everybody has their own thing on this channel. And if we have a little bit of brotherly love and back and forth in here that has caused a little bit more entertainment value, I'm all for it. David from State Farm is a pretty good burn at this point, Peter. I might have to give you a point. Maybe we'll give a brother standings in this competition of trash talk. Evelyn's saying, believe it or not, I was out there barely 2 months after I had a mini stroke. Holy cow, Evelyn, you are real. You had shade. Please tell me you were underneath the city hall, like a thing like this for most of that heat, because it was such a hot day and it took so long for that parade to get to City Hall that, oh my gosh, Evelyn, you are a tough lady. Wow. So much more respect for Evelyn. I had a huge amount of respect for Evelyn, but now that I know her championship parade story from 3 years ago, today is wow, Evelyn, you are a real one. So much respect. And I'll bet you booed Doug Ford while you're out there too. All right, here we go. Tom Duke's saying, there they are, the two teapots full of tea. You've got your teapot that is caffeinated. You got your teapot that's decaf. We want choices. And then we've got 4 cups of tea here. So we got one for everybody. Come and get some tea and sit by the window with Tom and I. It's tea for everybody. And let's just have a sip. Everybody. Oh, how sweet it is. What a sunny, beautiful, gorgeous day. It's like, it's just so, the life is so vibrant this morning. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the Celtics lost on their home court to the Warriors. Yeah. That's great. Raymond Jacobs saying, my first basketball movie was the best. White Men Can't Jump. Yeah, we could talk basketball movies real quick. That's a good movie. Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes. That is a classic. I like Basketball Diaries with Leonardo DiCaprio. That's an old school one. It's about that writer. Very dark movie in some ways, but very interesting. I mean, then there's ones like, what was that one with Omar Epps? Is really good. There's a couple of really great basketball movies. He Got Game with that Spike Lee's movie with Jesus Shuttlesworth, played by Ray Allen. Ray Allen was sitting at courtside for that game last night. There has been some good basketball movies. What's that crazy movie with Will Ferrell in the tropics and stuff like that? Semi-Pro. There's a lot of good basketball movies out there. Don't even get me started about Hoosiers. Hoosiers may be the greatest basketball movie ever made. Space Jam, Mike, Air Bud. There's so many basketball movies out there. Go and have a basketball movie marathon, Raymond Jacob. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Tom Duke saying, crying. Go Raptors is what I spam everywhere, whether or not they are even involved. Tom Duke, you're a badass. Oh, my gosh, you're a badass. Just spread the gospel all around. It doesn't matter. You could be in a home craft, arts and crafts Facebook group, and Tom Duke is in there spamming "Go Raptors," and old ladies are being like, "What is he talking about? What is this mess?" And Tom's just like spreading the word all over the place. He's got a dinosaur. He's got our starting 5. Wonder what the mascot is up to, consoling Ben Franklin and that CJ guy from the other day. He's bringing up fake TJ McConnell from the other day and talking about, we have Ben Franklin. He's like, what is this to brag about? Sure, Ben Franklin was cool with his kite and his key and, being a founding father. He's on the $100 bill, stuff like that. He's a little bit better than some of the other founding fathers, although he was a little bit of a philanderer. He liked to get it on with different women outside of his relationship, stuff like that. But at least I think he was one of the ones that did not own slaves. So we will at least give Ben Franklin that. But yeah, all the fun we had with Ben Franklin and the real mascot matchup with cosplay Ben Franklin, that was a fun discussion the other day with TJ McConnell. Raymond Jacob said, I got to look up those classics again. Yeah, I just gave you a good list there, Raymond Jacob, of all kinds of good basketball movies. White Men Can't Jump. Leslie's all about it. She's got a happy heart face about it and stuff like that. Coach Carter. Yeah, Marlon Toby's bringing up one I should have mentioned. Actually, Coach Carter may be one of the very best basketball movies ever made. It's got to be up there with Hoosiers, Coach Carter, boom. Those are 2 of the greatest all over. Raymond Jacobs saying best sports movie, not just basketball overall. That's a tough one. Wow. This is going to be funny. I actually really love the movie Kingpin. With Bill Murray and Woody Harrelson, the bowling movie. I think that movie is absolutely hilarious and weird. It's kind of like got that Bad Santa vibe to it. And it's just so weird and trashy that I like Kingpin. I think that might be one of my favorite sports movies of all time. So anyway, interesting discussion about best sports movies, stuff like that, and everything. I really appreciate y'all coming and visiting me today. So, like, yeah, Kingpin was jokes. If you watch Kingpin, it's hilarious. The whole thing with the fake hand and different things. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. Anyway, y'all, I'm gonna wrap things up before we get to 90 minutes here. Blue Chips, that's another one. You guys are naming really good movies. Blue Chips was Shaq and Nick Nolte and Penny Hardaway. Oh, that was good. That was right around when they got on the same team. Nick Nolte was in that movie. It's pretty good. Shaq wasn't the best actor in that movie. Penny was pretty good in that movie, but Shaq's not a very good actor, especially at that time. He was not a good actor when he was really young. He's just basically being Shaq and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a good mention right there, Peter. I might have to give him a point just for mentioning Blue Chips. All right, y'all. Congratulations, Golden State Warriors. You are the champions 2022. You did it on Boston's court. You did it exactly how I hoped you would. These Celtics fans had some hope. They had some hope all season. They really, really thought that they were going to win the championship this year, and their dreams got crushed in a major, major way. And this is important, y'all. Listen, we've only played the Celtics once in the playoffs ever in the history of the NBA. And they beat us in the bubble in a 7-game series that was tough to take. So this is ammunition for us to say, yeah, we beat the Warriors when we played them in the finals, and y'all did not. And this is some good ammunition against Celtics fans who get cocky next season. So thank you, Warriors. Thank you for getting back on top, continuing your dynasty, and making the Raptors championship look all the better because of it. So yeah, see you tomorrow, David. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow also, Peter. And let's go, Race Mode Daily. Let's go, Raptors Nation. And tomorrow we'll be sharing the love about Fred VanVleet. So please think about the things you love about Fred. We can talk critically like we did today with Rigel, but we will have to have it fair and balanced with more positivity and love about Fred, because there's a lot of negativity about him out there and people don't want to re-sign him. And we want to show him that Raptor Nation does love him and we do want him back, especially after he said what he said a couple of days ago about wanting to be a lifer. All right, Peter, you'll be here, and fuck the Celtics. That's a great way to end it. Hit that subscribe button, please, if you have not hit it already. It's helping me. I'm getting that climb. Even in the offseason, I'm gaining more and more followers, which is fantastic. But I know what's going to happen at the beginning of the training camp in the summer. And when we're starting up the season again, the interest will be wanting to know what's going on with the Raptors. And hopefully they'll come find me and we'll update them right before the season. And I'll see a big jump in subscriptions then. But I am getting them now too. And I'm really happy because it's the dead of the summer now. No more NBA basketball, but we will continue. And G, if you watch this later, I'm going to need to get your address so I can mail you that JYD practice jersey for winning the trivia, y'all. So tomorrow, share the love club, Fred VanVleet. And remember, on the Sunday reports, I'm going to have a couple of Sunday reports coming up soon. The ref report. And also, I'm going to do a report on how to use the coaches challenge more efficiently. And yeah, I'm going to really do a deep dive on research on the coaches challenge and when is the best situation or when in the game to use the coaches challenge the most effectively. All right, yeah. Have an awesome weekend, Evelyn. All y'all, and Evelyn, you are a badass. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how tough you are, Granny Evelyn. So much respect. Let's go Raptors, baby. Woo! Go Warriors. Good job, Steph. Good job, Andrew. Yes, we are so proud of our Canadian connections to the 2022 NBA champion Golden State Warriors. Woo!